Alright, my name is Jesus Nunez, and I'm going to be talking about my final portion of our final exam, which is a video portion, and I'm going to talk about um, these two stories that have, resonated with me throughout the semester, and how I can correlate them with what we've learned throughout our semester you know, over this time. The first one is going to be when we watched our video uh, why lowriders and backyard burgers have defined East LA. The reason that show resonated so much with me because growing up in like Southern California, especially a car family, um, lowriders and car shows were like a big part of my life, and just seeing how LA itself has incorporated that into like the lowrider car scene, how they incorporated it into their culture, into pretty much a staple of Los Angeles itself. And later on when it talked about the kitchen manager George Dorhal, it was really good to see somebody that that came up from like the same like background that I came up in, and saying that how they were able to like really escape everything they went through, and just how that was, shaped them into who he was today, and how that, really resonated with me because, all my, a lot of family members and individuals have gone through like, same thing with gang violence and everything. Just seeing how like everything, like as a culture, correlates back to like food, and like how that is like something that keeps us together, and something that's humbling through that. And that's really something that I love throughout the semester. And leading up to my second part um, is my experiences here in San Diego too, especially seeing a lot of Hispanic like restaurants in a lot of places you wouldn't expect. So there's this place called the Taco Stand that's in La Jolla, which um, which is La Jolla, which is a really rich part of San Diego, and that and I really love seeing how this like really small taco stand has really built itself into the neighborhood itself, because a lot of people wouldn't think that like in such a rich area there'd be something as as rural as a taco stand, having street tacos there. You would expect more like, just because in that neighborhood you find like fishermen, like seafood restaurants and stuff like that, like really high end restaurants. So just seeing how like people, like how Mexican food itself can incorporate itself into almost like any culture, and be a significant business for that area. Uh, so the reason that these stories, the reasons why I think California is the main story in this is because I feel like just California itself has so much like strong supporting characters, and how a lot of people come to California just for just to allow themselves to be like affected by it, just because this is like the area to be, especially Southern California. And I really wouldn't think that this could happen in a lot of other places other than coastal areas, just because those areas I feel are more open to like immigrants themselves, and like the mid country is, not saying that they're not welcome, but just saying that a lot of immigrants wouldn't migrate towards there, maybe not as their first choice. Like you see a lot of places like San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Miami, New York, places that are central hubs for like melting pots of culture. You see these places where like everybody's able to like live with each other, and I feel like the main thing that helps all of them together is like the food. Everybody comes to like the restaurant, whether they be like white, black, or like anything in between. So like these places are like the only other places that could think that like stories like this could occur. So and I feel like Californians. well, California itself plays a role in these stories, and you know will still play this role like later on. It's and that's because despite what happens, like California is always going to be such an opening place, like an open place where you know, welcoming and everybody will be like such like a welcoming place for everybody. So it's not like the Midwest that you would think that might be more standoffish just because of how the media portrays it. But when you really think about California and itself, like Southern California, that's when you start to think about like different cultures coming into each other and really being able to feed and grow off of each other and you know show appreciation for each other's culture. And I really loved being in this class, and it was really awesome just being able to like see different stories play out, like especially the lowrider one, just because I felt like that one was a lot like was like the one that hits home the closest to home, just because like how I said my family grew up with it, and you know I really love seeing places like New York and Miami, like places like that where like people feed off of each other's culture, and like you can go to like an Indian restaurant one day, the next day you could try Cuban food, or you can go eat Chinese or Japanese food. And the reason why is just because these places are such like like open arm places that can help like each other and the culture itself. And like despite what like a lot of people may think of California being like a snobby place with like just like a California way of thinking, I could see how like there's even like a rivalry with like Northern and Southern California where like Southern California is a more laid back version, and when you think about Northern California, that's when you start to assume people get more sophisticated with like culture and stuff. But when you really step down to it, like everywhere's like that. Like you can really just see where like as a society that every community has its own pocket. So yeah, it might be snobby in some places, but in that same city, you can find people who are like down to earth and like more willing to like see past just the outer layer and really appreciate just like the basis of things. And I feel like the basis of things with everything, and it correlates from the beginning, is just food. Food itself is like the connecting glue to every culture. And this class really helped me to see that.